Welcome to the night section. Louisiana made Mr. Lil Wayne, Tunchi, aka Weezy F Baby, and the F apparently stands for fall. D fall to be more specific. Now, respectfully, I admire Lil Wayne. I think the first time I actually came across Wayne was when I was about 12 years old with the song Lollipop. Little old me really thought it was about the candy, but that's besides the point. Lil Wayne is a legend and he's made his staple in the game, and that's nothing anybody or anything can take away from him. But it seems that Lil Wayne has been making a lot of noise in the headlines, but not in the way that fans of him, including myself, who want to see Wayne succeed, would have liked. In more recent times, stories have come out about him being hit with a federal weapons charge in which he pled guilty, as well as being sued by his former management team for breach of contract, in which former management claims that Lil Wayne has failed to pay agreed upon commission over several years, which now totals, according to former management, over $20 million, which then spilled over to the biggest story of them all, and the most tragic in my opinion, which was Lil Wayne selling his masters to Universal Music Group for $100 million. This information was leaked again by former management to TMZ after they claimed that Lil Wayne should be able to afford what's owed due to his transaction with Universal Music Group back in June of this year. And in recent news, it was actually revealed that this deal not only included the selling of his masters, but allegedly also Young Money's entire catalog. So this would include Drake's albums before and including Scorpion, Nicki's entire catalog, and everything Tyga has released with Young Money before he went independent. Now, this is a big yikes moment for Wayne, and frankly, all of what was Young Money. But this, honestly, is just the tip of the iceberg, and this runs deeper than just a few stories. It seems in the last few years, Lil Wayne has been steady on a decline. And we're talking about a man that was considered the best rapper alive a little bit over a decade ago. One of the highest selling rappers of all time, selling over 120 million records worldwide. A man that inspired millions upon millions of people. But inevitably, everything must fall. I mean, in science class, we learned about Newton's law of universal gravitation, and where Sir Isaac Newton really spit bars when he said, "What goes up must come down," which was specific to gravity, but could be used in every facet of life. Like any Shakespearean play, there is the inevitable fall from grace where it leads to the protagonist's imminent death. I mean, the only guarantee in this life is being put under the ground, but whether figuratively or literally, this is a universal truth. But it's unfortunate that Lil Wayne, though he is still alive today, it seems the fall, though inevitable, has become excruciatingly painful to watch. And as we see the decline of many of our heroes, I'd like to point out the fact that this doesn't just happen in one day. It isn't just these few stories, or Wayne selling away his masters that signaled the decline for him. The same way Rome wasn't built in one day is the same way that the Roman Empire wasn't destroyed in a day. It's the accumulation of actions taken, but more importantly, the actions not taken day in and day out, year after year. And there's not just the protagonist in the story to blame. As we go ahead and do a bit of a dive into the series of events that may have led to this point. And let me make a big disclaimer, this is just me trying to put the pieces together. In other words, not facts. You, the viewer, will come to find out that this fall from grace is deeper than just bad decision making. This is the product of childhood trauma, toxic environments, substance abuse, neglect, and the ignorance that is pervasive in this culture we call hip-hop that a lot of us have grown to love. This is the fall from grace, Lil Wayne, Part 1. Act 1, Part 1, Childhood.
I was fucking at 11. But I had Nate at 15, nigga. I had my daughter when I was 15, nigga. It ain't cause you a male, it ain't cause you 15, you supposed to, cause you're young money. You're supposed to. Fuck that shit, nigga. I started fucking. I got raped when I was 11, Twist. I loved it. I ain't never pressed charges. I'ma do you like baby them did me. Yeah. I'll never forget that day. Yeah, no, they was all in the kitchen. I was scared. It was cool. There was about this many niggas and shit too in that bitch. I never forget the word. Suck Lil Wayne, let dick. Yeah, I was sitting on the couch. Everybody in that bitch. That nigga was like talking. Girl with your good dick. Girl, you know you took with your good dick suck and that boy, that bitch suck all nigga. Have a nigga, good bitch, suck Lil Wayne that dick. I'm sitting there like, sure, yeah. Sucked up. I ain't never had this happen. In front of G, oh my God, that was the best ever, boy. I walked out that bitch, I felt like I killed 5 niggas, ran through 3 banks, boy. You don't understand. I was a different man after that. I was Lil Wayne.
So most of you guys know Lil Wayne has been rapping since he was practically a fetus, signing to Cash Money Records at only 12 years old. Let's face it, he was a child star, and the way that we sympathize with child actors when they grow up a little bit out of whack is the same grace we should give Lil Wayne. Not saying that he is long gone, but it's important to recognize that fame, especially at an early age, does irreparable damage to the psyche. You don't develop in the same way that a quote-unquote regular child develops. Not to mention, coming from a rough neighborhood, Holly Grove in New Orleans, where it is poverty-stricken, violence and drugs become a common theme. It's an ecosystem where you're not allowed to flourish in the way necessary for optimal growth, but instead it's about needing to just survive on a daily basis. You're set up to fail, especially when you look to your left and then to your right, and seemingly no one around you has made it out. And it's because when you grow up in rough conditions like this, it seems like there is no other option. For most people growing up in these neighborhoods, their fate lies 6 feet under or in a prison cell. You can only do so much to progress yourself and act with your own agency when the environment doesn't foster the space or the ability to do so. This is only a fraction of Lil Wayne's story. Lil Wayne was met with unfortunate circumstances from the very beginning. His parents divorced when he was only 2 years old, and though they separated, Wayne's father's presence hauntingly still loomed over Wayne and his mother, forcing Wayne and his mom to live with the father's mother, but only paying them a visit to beat on Wayne's mom, and eventually abandoning them entirely for his other family. Safe to say that his biological father wasn't ideal. Makes sense as to why Wayne would drop the D from his name, Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., as he was named after his biological father. It seemed that in years to come, Lil Wayne would be searching for a father figure, and the one time he gets that opportunity, it again gets stripped away from him. His mother had remarried to a local hustler, Mr. Reginald Rabbit McDonald, who became his stepfather and played a pivotal father figure role for Lil Wayne. But his life was cut short when he was murdered after only 4 years of being in Wayne's life. Lil Wayne still honors him to this day and recognizes Rabbit as his real father, though they don't share genetics. He has Rabbit tattooed on his arm in his honor. But this tragic situation was nothing compared to the incident a couple years prior. Lil Wayne had shot himself in the chest after finding his mother's gun. When Lil Wayne had opened up about it originally, he claimed it was an accident after playing with it. But over the years, he had dropped several hints to suggest it might have actually been a suicide attempt. Like on Solange's song Mad back in 2016, where he says, quote, "And when I attempted suicide, I didn't die. I remember how mad I was on that day. Man, you gotta let it go before it get up in the way." And in 2018, on the album The Carter 5, he actually confirmed the speculations in the outro, Let It All Work Out, in which he says, quote, "I found my mama's pistol where she always hide it. I cry, put it to my head and thought about it. Nobody was home to stop me, so I called my auntie. Hung up, then put the gun up to my heart and pondered. Too much was on my conscience to be smart about it. Too torn apart about it. I aimed where my heart was pounding. I shot it, and I woke up with blood all around me. It's mine. I didn't die, but as I was dying, God came to my side and we talked about it. He sold me another life and he made me a prophet." It was finally brought to light that Wayne was suicidal at 12 years old. and this was due to his mother forbidding him to keep rapping, but that surely was just the cherry on top considering everything he endured over the years. The only reason he actually survived was that Uncle Bob, as Lil Wayne refers to him, a police officer, cared enough to drop everything to get him to the hospital. Lil Wayne could have pretty much died, as he missed his heart by only a few centimeters, in which he detailed in a previous song titled London Roads off of his Free Wheezy album back in 2015, where he says, quote, "Miss Sita, I remember going in your gun drawer, putting it to my chest and missing my heart by centimeters. Oh Lord, I remember dying on her room floor and waking up in some police's arms. He died recent. So I hope heaven made more room for him, and I hope he see me. 'Cause if he didn't save that little boy, there'd be no Wheezy. Oh Lord." This is all to say that Lil Wayne's childhood from the very beginning was extremely traumatic. And these are events that you don't just get over if left untreated. You carry these demons and they manifest in sometimes ways that are costly in your adult life. Adding fame to the mixture, it's a recipe for disaster doomed to the inevitable decline. The Fall, Act 1, Part 2, Drugs.
I was young and I watched Michael Jordan Game 6 and made me want to go right into my driveway and shoot around. Well, I was also young and I listened to Pimp C and they said we drinking that lean. And made me want to drink the lean. So I picked the cup up. But I've been, and ever since that, I respected it the day I picked it up because I knew this is a culture. This ain't something to do because it's cool. This ain't something to do because, when I picked it up, y'all ain't know what it was. Y'all just thought he walking around with 2 white cops. And y'all was like, I'm quite sure the stereotypical motherfucker was like, I had some liquor or something in there. But you didn't know what the hell it was. So obviously I wasn't doing it to be cool. And actually, what I want to say is, so all you niggas, cause see, what we was saying, me and my man Boo, and help me if I fuck up anywhere, Boo. What we was saying is, I can't blame the kids. I blame you adults. See, it's okay for a kid to look at somebody and see something and want to be just like it. It's only right. It's only human nature. But for an adult to fabricate something for some dumb reason, it messes up our youth and it messes up the future. So I ask you, what was your reason, or what is your reason? Why do you drink?
Lil Wayne has been active in the industry for decades now, literally since the 90s. And of course, like you or me, people get old and age. But in the past, I would say 4 to 5 years, it seems in a way that he's aging has been accelerated by about 1,000. And obviously, there's been speculations about his health. He's been known to be suffering from seizures and actually came out in 2013 to say that he suffers from a condition called epilepsy. And this condition, though it isn't a direct link to his lean usage, it definitely didn't help his situation considering his heavy use over the years. For you guys that don't know what lean is, essentially it's a mix of prescription cough syrup containing codeine mixed with soda, sometimes candy, usually Jolly Ranchers. Codeine is an opiate, which is in the same family as heroin. So to put it to you guys straight, it's like drinking liquid heroin. And in the amounts that Wayne would drink this for years upon years, there is no surprise that it could have somehow manifested into health issues for him, or the speed at which he is seemingly aging compared to maybe the average person who doesn't partake in substance abuse. This is, of course, me speculating the possible correlations to him not looking the healthiest. In no way am I saying that this is a fact. There's no real way to actually prove that it is, but here's a photo of him back in 2014 compared to a more recent picture. Clearly, you can see that there's something a little off. Though 5 to 6 years apart, Wayne is still under 40, so the difference here is actually jarring, to tell you the truth. And it's not looking so good. You can tell just by his locks, even though he moved to a more freeform style, it seems that his hair is thinning, but again, this could just be aging in general and have nothing to do with his actual health. But the issue here that I like to point to, or the unfortunate part about all of this, lies in the fundamental reasons why people turn to any type of substance in the first place. I mean, we talked about his traumatic childhood, which could have been the catalyst to all of this, but I think we also need to discuss the culture around substance abuse of any kind, especially in hip hop. I mean, we hear the famous lines quoted among many hip hop figures about how people used to talk about selling drugs and now they're doing it. But the truth is, a lot of these rappers have been doing drugs since the very beginning and been getting high off of their own supply. Maybe not as extreme as literally injecting substances into their bloodstream, but popping pills, even smoking trees in crazy amounts. Has anyone ever wondered why? It's because of trauma, PTSD, and other mental health conditions in most cases. Whether diagnosed or not, the signs are apparent. And we as a culture promote this, which in turn turns into a toxic cycle that leads people to an early grave.
Had issues with drugs even before you started to get famous and rich?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was something that I was into early, low-key, due to music. Because, like, I was a music head, so, like, in 6th grade, 7th grade, I'm hearing songs about sipping lean. Those are, like, the real influential years, I feel like, especially for, like, a boy. Like, finding out who your role models are, what you like, basketball, football. That's, like, when you start kind of choosing the dreams you want to chase, damn near.
Right.
So, like, 6th, 7th grade, I was hooping, I was playing baseball. I was good at both at the time. But I was also, like, freestyling, and I was really into music. Like, I used to damn near worship this shit. Like, I was into music so much. So my family putting me on to all this different music, Future, Gucci, all these niggas talking about drugs, bro.
You can't help but ignore how fun or how interesting, at least, they're making Xans and Lean and all this shit sound.
Yeah, bro. Like, when I heard Future, the first song I ever heard by Future was Ain't No Way Around It. The second song I've ever heard by Future is Dirty Sprite, like off the first Dirty Sprite mixtape. And that shit had me wanting to sip lean at like 11, 12 years old, bro.
Yeah.
As for right now, it seems that Lil Wayne is off crazy substances, but it's still something to think about and to keep in mind when it comes to his decline and the impact that it could have made when it came down to making the right decisions. To be continued.